This article coming up is one of my favorites. Okay. Nevada petrifactions and fossils, Nevada 1869. California, huge petrified skeletons of men, yet huger animals on which they used to ride, judging by the saddles as big as dump carts, still strapped to their backs. One body is 100 feet long, petrified into quartz and silver ore. Stellium, hopefully, if Stellium's still in the chat, I read this one with him before. Well, there's 101 of you here. Fantastic number. Welcome to the portal. But yeah, I've read this one before with Stellium. It's one of my favorites. So what this is going to tie into the hydraulic mining, and we'll transition a little bit into the mining stuff a little deeper as we go through this article, just to give you an idea of what they were finding. Okay, remember that I showed you some of those pictures. They're washing away millions and millions and millions of cubic feet of earth going down. So in some places, 10 or more stories more. In some places, they go 200, 300 feet. So they're washing away whole mountainsides. And here's a little taste of what they were finding buried underneath all this mud and lava flow. Sometimes it's lava flow, sometimes it's mud, sometimes it's gravel. It's a mix of everything. Nevada petrifactions and fossils. It is not a little whimsical to notice that since the little 10-foot stone man was dug up at Cardiff, which is creating such a sensation among the New York Yankees, there are plenty more suddenly resurrected down in Arizona and in various other parts of the country, compared with which the Cardiff giant is a mere Tom Thumb. Over in Calaveras, it's an important thing to remember. That was that picture I showed you. One of the most beautiful ancient forests that ever existed in America was in Calaveras County. Over in 100 feet in a mine shaft at 100, and I think it might have been 120, 130 feet, they found a skeleton of a man. Very unusual skeleton, considered to be the oldest ever found in America. Over in Calaveras County, huge petrified skeletons of men are said to be quite common. Also, the bones of yet huger animals on which they used to ride, judging from the saddles, as large as dump carts, found still strapped on their backs. We helped to dig up a thigh bone ourselves over there, 15 feet long, which doubtless belonged to some antediluvian chief. Some called it an auld log, but it was the shape of a thigh bone anyhow, and badly petrified. We have never known many complete stone giants to be exhumed in this vicinity, but out in Humboldt country, one large body, over 100 feet long, known as the Little Giant, has been found, completely petrified into quartz and silver ore. Really, really incredible part to take note of there. Petrified into quartz and silver ore. Now, if you're familiar with Stellium 7, and he's responding, so that's perfect. I'm glad he's still here. If you're not familiar with it, check out his YouTube channel. Really, really important work. A very, very powerful correlation there. This connects a lot of the ancient tree and petrified titan work, and to have an article where they're talking about finding a completely petrified giant that's 100 feet long that's been turned into quartz and silver ore. You find that a lot of gold ore and gold follows these quartz lines, and it's you know um, Stellium has done a great job exploring these subjects, and I very much am in agreement with him. This concept of biogeology and what happens, some kind of cataclysmic event that could petrify, the Medusa event that could petrify humans, um, and that all these different biological components of the human body, when exposed to high voltages, turn into different materials: quartz, silver, gold, so on and so forth. So yeah, just an incredible article. There's a second part here. It is well known to us that petrified horses are plenty in Comstock Ledge, some of them over 50 feet high. Also, huge spurs on which but monstrous men could appropriately wear. Petrified. Wild cats are still found throughout the mining region. It is well known to us all the petrified horses are plenty in Comstock Ledge, some of them over 50 feet high. Just think about that, you guys. And I've found dozens and dozens of skeletons of giant horses found all over America. The Dakotas, Montana, there are countless giant horses, huge, even bigger than these. So just, while I'm reading these, just kind of, close your eyes and just picture what this place was like, 100 50 to 100-foot tall men riding giant horses. You know, it's just incredible. And how many layers down is this? How many different civilizations have come and gone since this time? It's hard to say for sure, but we'll get into a few more of these articles that show how deep they're going and what they keep finding. And also numerous huge spurs, which none but monstrous men could appropriately wear. No human bones, except bones of contention, have yet been found in the Comstock, but some of these are of great size, especially those found a few years ago. Petrified wild cats are still found throughout the mining region. We have plenty of big feeling men among us, none of extraordinary size to petrify, although many of them are already old fossils. So that just goes on to talk about the deniers of such things that are found. But since I don't do a good enough job of looking at chat, I'm gonna just kind of pop over here and see what people are saying. See what Stellium was saying. Yeah, he was talking about the size. Yep, the great trees. Thank you, Hippie, for posting that. It appears that the corpse of engineers like the flood ancient sizes to make lakes. Yeah, trauma junkie. The damming and of California is extensive. They have more dams than anywhere in America, and it was definitely to cover up a lot of places. The control of water is very important, especially when it comes to burying history. No doubt they called him metal veins. Well, yeah, the terminology in mining is obviously very biogeological, 100%. They're just taking mining titans, essentially, as Stellium said countless times. Brett, thanks again. So sweet. Yeah, Hangman, 1128. Another great channel. And I don't necessarily agree with everything he says, but his ancient petrified trees work is probably the best there is on YouTube. So check out Hangman 1128 as well. Hangman's channel is amazing. It changed 100%. Yeah. Several of my chats with Stellium, we get into the movie Avatar. I plan someday to do like a good breakdown of the movie, but I'm sure plenty of you are familiar, and I would say that's very accurate. What are the evil humans are coming to this planet to mine. I'm spacing the name of it. That metal they need, and it lies in the crystal formation buried beneath the giant tree. And I've hypothesized, just like when you think of the rainforest, that 80% to 90% of all living life in the rainforest live in or on or around the tree. So you can imagine, close your eyes and imagine with me, a time period when the trees reached to the clouds and a canopy, just like in a rainforest, a vapor canopy existed. They create their own weather systems in these giant forests, and you have a canopy of these giant trees spaced far enough apart where their limbs are growing and covering everything, and you don't even see the sky. And you make your home in the trees, and the whole populace lives in the trees. And one of the things I remember in Avatar is they're flying on the flying things, and the griffins, um and they're connecting their hair into the fibers of the trees. That was kind of that's more of a reality. The Lord of the Rings and the Avatars and these incredibly successful kind of sci-fi, they're tapping into our unconscious. That's what makes them so successful. And I think those things are far more likely to be our true past than a lot of these other things that people are talking about. Mummy of a giant, California, 1985. The body was found in a cave by prospectors, an excellent state of preservation, over 9 feet high. Over the head, a leather hood used for burial, a shroud. So again, I typed just a few words from the article into the AI, and here's what it made. I just love it. Brings a new dimension to it. But here's the drawing they had in the paper. Mummy of a giant, body of a man 9 feet high, dug up in California. Biggest human being on record, though somewhat shrunk since he was alive. The corpse of the biggest man that ever lived has been dug up near San Diego. At all events, there is no satisfactory record in ancient or modern history of any human being nearly so tall. So you saw that in Calaveras County and on the Comstock and the hydraulic mining they were doing, they found the giants that were, 20, 30, 40, 50 plus feet tall and horses that were over 50 feet tall. So as you get closer to the surface level, we get smaller and smaller and smaller. I'm sure that's not too hard to imagine if we can talk openly about titans. And if again you're not familiar with Stellium's work, check it out. If we're dealing with titan elephants, that are miles and miles long, it's not too hard to wrap your mind around. But again, you have to really take in a lot of information from a lot of different sources to start to build your own image of things. Again, I'm not trying to convince anyone of anything. I'm just, kind of giving you the history through my lens and using papers to help with that.